The Ford Maverick is one of the most underappreciated cars Ford has ever made, but its impact on automotive history can still be felt to this day. Everything from its design, price, and styling was exactly what Ford needed to stay ahead of the competition. And once you pair all that with the impressive performance of the Grabber, it makes this car an icon of the 1970s. But the story of the Maverick actually begins in the late 1960s, where Ford was at the top of their game, except for one little problem called Japanese imports. Companies like Datsun and Toyota were starting to get a hold on more of the compact market. The main reason for this was because how cheap their cars sold for. In 1968, a Datsun 510 would only cost you $1,900, and the Toyota Corona came in even cheaper at $1,300, making it completely understandable that Ford's current competitor, the Falcon, was starting to lag behind. Now, losing sales was a big enough problem as is, but the problem was compounded by the fact that the demographic they were losing were mainly young people. At that time, the rule of thumb car companies stuck to was what young people bought was cool, and what was cool, everyone bought. It's a good thing that's still not the rule today, because young people are kind of stupid. Now, Ford had been working the last 10 years to appeal to young people, entering races all over the world. And after all that, the last thing Ford wanted to happen was to lose them all because they didn't sell a car in their price range. So, in order to stay relevant, Ford needed a cheap, compact car. But something like the Pinto just wasn't going to be enough, as it needed to be cooler than everything else in its price range, making it young people's first choice. A very tall order that the Maverick had to fill. To save money on production, Ford started with the pre-existing Falcon platform. Then they built up from there, saving money everywhere they could. This meant power steering was cut and drum brakes were standard. The cost cutting even affected the interior by not including gauges like the tachometer, engine temperature, and oil pressure. Not to mention that this car didn't even have a glove box. Then, to make it cool, Ford decided to take inspiration from one of their most popular cars, the Mustang, giving it the Mustang's fastback roof, long hood, and overall sporty look. A design decision that would eventually nickname the Maverick Mini Mustang. Then in 1969, the Maverick was released for the 1970 model year and immediately fell under heavy scrutiny from the automotive press, who began poking fun at all the ways Ford used to cut cost. Car and Driver magazine especially gave it a hard time, calling Ford out of their minds and the Maverick a recycled Falcon. But somehow, despite all the negative press, Ford's plan to build a low-cost, sporty car for young people actually worked, and the Maverick became an overnight success, selling nearly 580,000 cars in the first year alone, which was just shy of the Mustang's first year, which sold 620,000 cars. However, Ford knew that if they were going to keep these numbers up, they needed to push the envelope. So in 1971, the Maverick got even cooler by giving it a 302 V8 with the popular Grabber package. The V8 produced 210 horsepower, pushing the Grabber from 0 to 60 in 8 seconds, and through the quarter mile in 16 seconds. Now, these numbers aren't particularly impressive, but where the Maverick really shined was more of its low-end acceleration, because these cars only weighed 2,870 pounds, making them very quick off the line, which is the main reason they'd go on to become very popular in drag racing. Also released in 1971 was the four-door version, which may seem a bit odd considering everything they did to make this car seem sporty. But this was actually a tried and true method Ford used to sell more cars, as proven a few years earlier when they did this to the Thunderbird. Another interesting way Ford tried to drum up sales happened in 1972 when they released an appearance package called the Sprint, which added patriotic stripes and badges to try to ride on the excitement around the 1972 Olympics.
Color keyed. Hey fella, are you trying to say buy these Fords because they're red, white, and blue? You figured that out all by yourself, did you?
They also put the same package on the Pinto and Mustang as part of a series that had a limited run, making them all very rare cars today. It was this kind of outside-the-box thinking that made the Maverick a consistent sales success year after year, selling over 2 million cars in just its 8-year production run. In fact, the only reason Ford discontinued the Maverick in 1977 was to make room for the new Fox platform, which would go on to become very popular itself. But we never really got another budget-friendly car from Ford that delivered the same excitement that the Maverick did, leaving a blank spot in the market as well as our hearts since 1978. Thanks for watching the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If so, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to see more videos like this. Hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time.